Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS review of the hit HBO Max DC Universe show, Doom Patrol. Sorry, we're behind a little this week on this episode, so instead of doing spoiler-free, this one's going to be full of spoilers for episode 7, entitled Doom Patrol. Let's give you a quick synopsis of this episode. Miranda helps protect the Doom Patrol from some truly terrible ideas after a mysterious package arrives at the manor. Rita's visit to the Cloverton beekeeper leads to her confronting her mommy issues, and Niles heads north to find Dorothy's mother. So, let me start off by saying, I've been living with this episode of Doom Patrol for about a month now, and it's always been, and I've rewatched it at least 3 or 4 times, but it's always been possibly the weakest episode of season 2, but yet it still encompasses everything that makes Doom Patrol good, if that like gives you a jux of what I'm attempting to say about this episode, Doom Patrol. So it's truly nothing like miraculously or big really happens in this episode, but this episode really does set up everything down the line for what you're going to get for the remainder of this season. So it's kind of a filler episode, but it's a hilarious filler episode. So let's get into some very quick points that happens in this episode. So we start off with Cliff hurtling back to Earth. As you can recall from the end of the last episode, when Niles released Cliff into space, as we get Cliff hurtling back to Earth, and he is pissed and he is frustrated. But this leads Cliff on this entire episode on a journey to get back to the manor. So also, unlike normal reviews, I am going to go by character and then explain their story for this whole episode. This works better that way, especially with the way it's fragmented in this episode. But so we get Cliff on a journey back to the manor the entire episode. We go from him walking, we go from cussing, him wanting to kill and dismember Miles in every way, shape, form, or fashion, as he tells us in every way, shape, form, or fashion what he wants to do with him. We also get kind of the problems that's been going on with Cliff throughout this season, which is it feels like his body is breaking down. So on one part of his journey home, his body kind of shuts down and he needs to make a phone call to try to find somebody at the manor to help him out. And during the crux of that, we have some of the funniest moments of the episode as he runs into a teenager who makes him do like promo shots to use his phone. It's hilarious. Granted, he again reaches no one at the manor. In the process of him reaching no one at the manor, he reaches out to his daughter, who happens to also not answer his call. The entire episode for Cliff's character is just him getting back home. I don't know if it's kind of symbolism of him just coming to realization on that walk. He comes to realization what's important to him. And I think closer to the end of the walk, the anger subsides and he realizes this, like how much he wishes his body was what it used to be. And also his feelings for his daughter. And when his journey ends, it ends at the manor with his daughter being there. Now, there's some stuff that happens on in other episodes that makes that a highly important point. But amazingly, that's the way they end Cliff's story this entire episode. Again, it is not big. It is not deep for Cliff. It's a couple of characters that him and Rita are kind of like this in this episode, where their storylines aren't big, but kind of leads impact down the road. And speaking of Rita, we get her as she decides to visit the Cloverton beekeeper to research her role in this very strange Our-Town play. And she has really no speaking lines, but she goes to see this beekeeper to learn how to be a beekeeper. And in her meeting the beekeeper, she really ends up dealing with her mother issues. The beekeeper has a daughter who she makes take honey to her teacher as a way to suck up to her teacher. And it kind of reminded Rita of her issues with her mom and everything her mom did to get her past in life. And again, it's therapeutic. This is a therapeutic episode for Rita, as the beekeeper tells her, like, hey, sometimes mothers are just mothers. They do things thinking that they're doing it for your best interest. It may not turn out that way, but they would never know if you don't tell them. Rita brings up her mom's dead. The beekeeper tells her, well, maybe, just maybe, yell at my bees. Maybe that'll help you out if you get a chance to yell at my bees and let some of that anger go, which leads to Rita finally kind of coming at peace with a lot of things, especially for this episode. And it also leads her to decide to don the beekeeper costume as a superhero suit later on in this episode as she saves somebody from being robbed. Again, them two characters don't really have big impactful things happening in this episode. The biggest impact are Larry, Miranda now, who has replaced Jane as the lead, Cyborg, and Ronnie as they go, as Cyborg takes Ronnie to Doom Manor to meet everyone and to meet Niles, hopefully. But as you recall, in the last episode, Niles has left and gone to space. So he is not there. But a mysterious package arrives, and the mysterious package poisons Larry, Ronnie, and Cyborg. And they are poisoned with a thing called scants. And scants is a thing that makes you have the world's worst ideas and like makes it sound like the best ideas in the world. And supposedly this happens and it creates Uma jelly. Yes, I said that right. Uma jelly that is then drained from their ears for the scant queen to drink. And it is a form of enlightenment when she drinks it. It is silly as humanly possible. The whole plot with the scants is as silly as humanly possible. It is really hard to explain what goes on in this part of this episode because it's really just them getting dumber and dumber. But we also realize while Larry, Cyborg, and Ronnie are getting dumber and dumber that it has absolutely no effect on Miranda. It is not explained why. Just know it has no effect on Miranda for the entire episode. So for the entire episode, we get them first trying to figure out why they're stupid, then finding out that they are stupid, and then after they find out they are stupid and they realize you have to kill the scant queen to get rid of this infection, they go off to kill the scant queen on one of the dumbest adventures humanly possible because no one is making sense but Miranda, but none of them will listen to Miranda. It is, again, it's a filler episode, but these moments are the funny moments in this episode. Needless to say, we get to the point of them, Miranda, using multiple personalities to kill the scant queen to get them all back to normal. In the process of them being under control of the scants, we saw Larry attempt to visit his son who was shot in the last episode in the hospital, and the government agency that's been hunting him for years are always there. No matter how stupid of an idea he comes up with to attempt to get into the hospital, they're always there to stop him. And we finally see Cyborg confess his love to Ronnie in this episode. But it is also revealed to us in this episode by the scant queen that them two being together could be the dumbest idea humanly possible, which helps feed her more enlightenment because just them being together is a dumb idea. So again, it has ramifications moving forward because we get to see how Larry's relationship is with his son from everything that happened. We get to see Cyborg and Ronnie and just how possible destructive their relationship is going to be down the line. And the last part of this episode we get is Niles with Dorothy. Now again, as you recall at the end of the last episode, when Niles sends Cliff on his way, we see him and Dorothy still going on to somewhere else. They end up landing in northern Yukon. I think I'm saying that right. To try to find Dorothy's mother so Niles can answer some questions about her. And then he arrives at a fire. Again, kind of weird. He arrives at a fire and he starts speaking to the fire, which is supposed to represent Dorothy's mother. So at this point, I'm not sure if her mother is Mother Nature or if her mother is some tribal chief or anything of that nature. But as he arrives there to have that conversation with his mother, and he starts off by saying, this whole time I thought I had to protect Dorothy from the world. And it's turning out that I have to protect the world from her. She is dangerous. He goes on this huge soliloquy of all the concerns he has about Dorothy. And then the candle maker comes out instead of her mother. And the big reveal here is the candle maker revealing to Niles that he was created by Dorothy's mother's family. Well before Dorothy was born, they made the candle maker. And this is a big reveal because this entire time we thought, or we assumed, that the candle maker was just like all the other imaginary personalities that Dorothy has created. Instead, now we're finding out, no, this is a much older entity that is inside of Dorothy, but that technically she has little to no control over because he was put there by her mother's family. Again, this episode is set up to give you little nuggets for the remainder episodes of this season. Again, it is a filler episode, but in typical Doom Patrol fashion, even when they give you filler episodes, they sprinkle it in with just enough stuff that you understand that, okay, it's at least moving the season forward, and it's not stopping any momentum. And that's what you get out of Doom Patrol. Again, it's a very silly episode, very at times annoyingly silly at times, but then we get that huge moment with Niles at the end. We get the touching stuff with Rita, and it always comes together. Again, it's not the best episode of Doom Patrol, but still really, really good TV that you should check out. So this has been another review of Doom Patrol. This one is called Dumb Patrol. It dropped last Thursday. This coming up week, the episode is called Dad Patrol. So the way I'm telling you the synopsis with Niles in this one, you should kind of understand where we're going with Dad Patrol between his situation, Larry's situation, and Cliff's situation, where we're going with the Dad Patrol. But again, check this episode out. If you're a big Doom Patrol fan, you're going to love it. If you're not a big Doom Patrol fan, you may be thrown off a little bit by the silly and weirdness of the episode, but just go along with it because those little nuggets are important down the line. Peace, people.